This is a boat. It is one of the simplest items allowing you to float, except it's crafted like this on Java, while on Bedrock you'll need a shovel. On Java you'll take no full damage while inside of it, but on Bedrock you do. While you can't put a horse in it on Java, but on Bedrock the reverse is true for Enderman, and although this is just one item, the list goes on. You can only put a lead on it for Bedrock while it breaks much easier on Java, and this is something called a parity issue. With 1.16, Minecraft decided there would no longer be two versions of Minecraft receiving two different updates with different features and version names, but instead every feature would come to both. You don't even need to know if you're playing Java or Bedrock to know the new camels or snippers are coming. It will always be available for all of it, and this is parity, something Minecraft is committed to, but you'll see lots of examples of how that isn't true. And speaking of things not being true, did you know being subscribed to the channel is the best way to reduce your odds of a gravity-based boat accident, and I'd hate for one of those to happen to you, so that's a great thing that you can do. But what you can also do is consider how features in Minecraft are mostly the same across both versions. Think about the mine shafts or the ender dragon, and these features will be near enough identical. Look at a cow, village, or desert well, and you'll find they're all pretty cool because they exist exactly the same, and you don't even need to know what version this is to know how these things will work. However, there are all sorts of huge features that have come to one edition but not the other. The famous examples of this would be hardcore or amplified on the Java version, or the marketplace and ray tracing for Bedrock. There are all sorts of these huge features, but there's also all sorts of weird, odd ones that they've added since 1.16, such as the Java edition, which has received some incredibly powerful commands. Let me show you an example of one. I can now fill the biome around me, and I can replace the existing plains biome with a badlands if I really want to. You can tell that it's badlands because of this brand new grass. You can change immutable characteristics of your world just like that, which is pretty stunning by itself, I would say. But now consider that we can also, in that exact same place a structure. I can make myself a desert pyramid right here in my badlands. And wait, where is it? There it is. Look at that. Here is a desert temple that is chilling just below my world. Isn't that amazing that there's a command that can just do that right underneath my Badlands biome, which used to be a plains biome? Yes, that's incredible. You also have the command block output limit, so you can choose how many blocks you can place with commands. And so to prove the power of these three things, why don't I take all of them together and do something really silly? So this whole area right here that's currently a jungle, I don't really like that, so let's turn it into a mushroom biome, and then I'm going to place myself 1,000,000 blocks here. What should the blocks be? I don't even know. Sand? Yeah, doesn't that look beautiful? Haven't I really added to the world? Okay, I probably... You know what? Let's pick a different location for that sand. Let's go right over here, shall we? Now let's replace all of that sand with Neverwart. Ooh, looking good. Wait, the trees are missing a little bit. There we go. Now we can replace all of that sand with Neverwart, and isn't that looking amazing? And now let's just summon some igloos in the middle to make my dream biome, which is entirely doable on Java with just 3 commands. I'm doing it on my very questionable laptop, if you're noticing the quality. You know, the fact that I could do that right then and there is a Java exclusive in world customization, and it's a real shame we don't have it here. Look at that. I just made an igloo appear out of thin air. Isn't that a stunning reality? The answer is yes, it is. This is amazing. I've made a little igloo village, which I can't do on Bedrock. Meanwhile, the Bedrock edition gets its own set of oddities, such as phantoms, which spawn far more often. I mean, come on, why must you punish us, Mojang? But also, there are commands exclusive to this version too. So for example, did you know you can locate a structure? This is something you can do on both versions of Minecraft. You can locate a biome or a structure. If I want to find my nearest ancient city, I just type in locate ancient city. However, if I wanted to find my nearest ancient city, which I haven't been to, I just type in true. Wait, yeah. Wow, there is another one literally like 200 blocks away from the other one? Wow. So you can search within chunks that you haven't been to guarantee that you'll find a new ancient city. And apparently there's 2 of them underneath the spawn on this seed. Wow, this is amazing. This is from my TikTok seeds video roast. Apparently, this is the place you want to be if you want ancient cities. But yeah, the fact is that ancient cities do spawn more commonly on the Bedrock edition. This isn't a weird, this isn't just me saying that. That is a real thing. Whereas on the Java edition, all sorts of other structures spawn more commonly than their Bedrock counterparts. In fact, structure spawning is one of the biggest deltas between the 2 platforms, because to this day, strongholds and other structures will spawn on one platform entirely differently than they'll spawn on another. Also, I do have to say, the way the games perform is very, very different, but that's kind of obvious. But let's actually talk a little bit more about, like, okay, all of these features that we're talking about were pre 1.16. I mean, besides these new ones that came in this update, which are commands, if you just look at the base game, you don't need to know that you're playing Bedrock to know that these are cows. It doesn't matter if you're playing Java or Bedrock, right? Because they're just cows. I mean, if I punch the cow, it does the exact same thing it does in Java, except here's me punching a cow on Java, and now let's come back here in Bedrock, and let's punch the cow here. Oh, he doesn't do precisely the same thing. He walks away at some pace, but not the manic, ridiculous pace that they do on Java. I think this is much better working on Bedrock personally, but that's just my opinion. I also think it's worth mentioning, as we bridge forwards in a very normal Bedrock way, that although 1.16 was the official point at which they said parity was their stated aim, let's actually go to the Never to push that point a little bit. Because the Never update may have made things the same on the surface, but the reality is, when you look deeper, even this one update has so many huge differences. Difference number one is the ceilings. The ceilings on the Bedrock edition are made from the blocks of the biome itself. On the Java edition, this is missing, for technical reasons that are never been fully explained. In the same way, on Bedrock, it is considered a working as intended feature that if you want to build on top of the Never, that's right, anywhere up here, it will not work. That is working as intended because the height limit is 128 blocks. On the Java edition, the height limit is 256, and it's a bug they're never going to fix, but it's still a very different feature. In fact, very different features also describes the fact that if you're in a Never waste biome, so anywhere that's just made a pure Nevrack basically, you'll find entire Never ravines that exist over there, and that's before we mention that on Java, the bastions and Never fortresses are twice as common, making the game much easier for the standard player. Why are there all these differences in the game? The simple answer is implementation, and you know, like when they're designing features, they come across different, but I think the more complex answer would be to say, yeah, in reality, Minecraft is a game with so many different things to try and keep track of. Making perfect parity is very hard, and that's why the boats are so different. When they implemented boats on one edition, they implemented it slightly different to the other one, and then once that becomes well known as the standard, which one is the correct way to play Minecraft? Should the Never have these Never ravines? They kind of are ugly and they're clearly holdovers from the overworld terrain. Should they be in the Never or not? Should there be double as many Never fortresses, or does that make the Never less of a scary place? You know, there's more places you can actually go find loot. It's really, really hard to answer these questions definitively, and Minecraft seems to have a tricky time coming across a firm answer. Honestly, there's too many features missing from either edition, or that are different between the two editions, to call this true parity. Even the Ender Dragon example I mentioned earlier actually knocks you up into the sky like this on Java, while on Bedrock just kind of is much more chill and even has a double damage spot. There are so many huge differences, and it raises this deeper question about whether Minecraft even wants the games to be the same. I mean, every time they add a feature to one edition but not the other, it makes you question as to whether they think it's just a better fit for that version, or whether they simply don't care that it's on one edition but not the other. There are so many deep and complex ways you could answer the question of how should Minecraft be the same before you start thinking about bastion chests having spectral arrows on Java but not having the same on Bedrock, before you start thinking about how there are so many more Never fortresses on Java and how that might devalue the Never, or how the Bedrock edition has these more immersive ceilings. Is that actually immersive? Is that useful? Does having soul sand in the ceiling of your biome actually add anything to your game? It's a really hard question to answer. Look, in the Crimson Forest, there's these vines hanging off here. I think this is immersive. I think this is unique and interesting, but maybe that's just because I'm used to it. For now, it is actually a very big ask to get Minecraft to make their two versions be exactly the same, even with billions of dollars and thousands of employees. The truth is, trying to get something as complex as two different languages on two different sets of platforms to work exactly the same is way harder than it's probably worth to most people, but I would say that there are two priorities that should be kept in mind. One of these is obviously, when new updates come out, bring the features to both platforms. When there's a new Java feature, like those new wonderful commands, bring them over to Bedrock. That should be a priority. The second of which should be taking the funnest, most sparkly features that are clearly missing from one edition and add it to the other one. Having bastions be more common would be great for Bedrock, or maybe having them be the right amount of common on Java. I don't know which way is correct. Another Another example would be, why don't we add the fast regeneration to Bedrock so we can actually handle the piglin brutes and the other insane challenges the game throws at us without having to wait a minute to regenerate. Sparkly arrows and fast regeneration, is that too much to ask? I don't know if it is, but I think Minecraft definitely should make a top 10 or a top 20 list internally, and they should work on adding those to the game. In fact, I did this myself recently, and if you want to see my 10 most important parity changes, you can do so, obviously, by clicking, or it's YouTube, you can search the video, or you can not. Honestly, YouTube will show it to you, or maybe it won't. You'll find out soon. But what you'll also find out soon is that piglin brutes are a real bad time in Minecraft, and you better kill them all quickly. And if you want to see me killing piglin brutes, then subscribe to the channel, maybe consider joining so you can see my live streams where I do precisely that. I'm going to be honest with you, about half the time piglin brutes kill me, so my KD is about 1 to 1, but for now, that's about as good as I can achieve. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.